Tom Jennings and I do wood carving. My workshop here is just in the front of my house, just a humble workshop. I like to stay close to my family. I've got my kids here, 3 kids. People like my art pieces and they commission me to do ones for them, and I do a lot of work for green burial grounds. I make posts or sculptures, or post with a sculpture for people who've died, and then I teach wood carving to people. Yeah, it's a really enjoyable craft, so loads of people want to learn it, and I love teaching. It's great to share it with people. It's nice to work with people as well. It's quite a solitary thing, and I love being here in the workshop, just carving, just doing my own thing. I'm quite a social person and like being with people, so it's a nice retreat from that, you know, just to be in my own world, carving away, you know, where you've kind of got this world that you're in, this piece of wood that you're working with, and you're trying to discover what's supposed to be in there, and just carving the wood off until you find it. It's very archaeological, you know, you dig in, you know something's under the surface of the wood, and you have to dig away everything around it to find it, and reveal what's in there, what's supposed to come out. It's, you know, with an art piece, there's an inner sense of what it's going to be, what the image will be, and I try and bring that out externally. So you've got the blank piece of wood, and I have a feeling of what's in there, and then I start to carve away until I start to find it. And that's the way I work as well. It's quite improvised. I don't usually have a plan. I just like to find it. You know, it's just play, really. I just make a cut here and there, and see what it looks like, and then do some more. And it's very playful, which I'm so lucky to have, really, to have aspects of play in my work. Keeps me in a good mood, and it is so therapeutic in that way as well. If I'm struggling, you know, or not feeling so good, if I come in the workshop and carve, it's just so restorative. It really sorts me out. This is one of my art pieces in limewood. It was just a piece someone brought for me from the local park, and I split it in half, and I noticed there was this crack down the middle, and so immediately that's like material for me to think about what this could be. And at the time my brother was moving out, my twin brother, and I think maybe there was some sense of a separation, and so immediately I'm thinking, and you know, we're twins, so it's like we're of the same piece, but there's a split forming, and so you've got each individual on either side, and then there's a kind of butterfly stitch or something in the middle. You know, it's like they're cocooned up, they're in transformation. There's the sense of a split, but there's also a repair and the symbol of transformation. So, you know, it's like in times of change, art pieces always come forward then, you know, because there's a lot going on inside me. And and it's helpful to express it. I always learn something. And I still don't fully understand this piece. Why is one of them conscious and one unconscious, you know? But mostly I just enjoyed the practice and learning how to carve faces. They're the first faces I did. I used to do a lot of different things. I tried many crafts, and I think wood carving just had just the right combination of things in there. On the one hand, it's kind of destructive, you know, you get to just like whack away at stuff and just destroy it until it looks just right. I'm so ultimately creative, but there must be some kind of destructive energy in me that gets kind of sublimation through that. And likewise, I've other things, like I used to be a bit of a hoarder, and I was just always finding cool little things and just stuffing them in my house until I had so much stuff that it was a problem. And again, there's been a kind of sublimation there, because now I can use that energy to go gather wood, find material to work with. And so instead of just bringing home lots of shiny objects to put on the shelf, like a magpie, I go out and find good pieces of wood, trees that have been cut down, or stuff in skips or joinery offcuts or just whatever's available, and it's always there. You don't really need to buy it, you can find it. This piece over here, this is the first big art piece I did in wood, and yeah, also I'm kind of glad this and the other never sold, because they're more personal works really. This came when I just found out me and my wife were going to have a baby, so again a really transitional time. And naturally at a time like that, it's like you start to imagine like this new level of responsibility that's coming in life, and maybe even the sort of burdensomeness of it. And I just start carving this hand, and all these kind of patterns just sort of growing upwards. And then I look in a book of symbols after I finished the piece, and it said that an outstretched palm is like a symbol of a blessing. It means like you've been blessed. And I thought, that's just great. That's just what I needed, I'd been blessed, and I wasn't really conscious of that yet, but it certainly has been a blessing having children, and so this always stands as a great reminder of that. So I'll probably never sell that one. It's nice to keep it here. And that was a piece of willow that came from the festival site where I used to run a festival with family and friends. I'm a very creative person. It's almost like an obsessive impulse. I've always been very creative, and I have a strong drive to make things and create things, and so wood carving just seemed like a good idea in terms of my creativity, because I tried lots of other things like writing, poetry, and filmmaking, and music. I mean, I still do music, but wood carving, there's just not many other people doing it in this area. So I noticed when I started doing that, there was a greater response, people more interested and more likely to support it. Being a creative person, it means everything to me. It's a big part of my identity, and makes you feel good about yourself, and it's nice to, present interesting things to the world. Hey, look at this thing that I made, and they go, oh, that's cool, I like that. Sometimes it's not much more than that. Sometimes it's much deeper than that, because maybe someone's died and I've made them something for their loved one that just, some people told me, it made them cry, and that's a beautiful thing, that's a good thing. And so there's meaningful things there. Or there's aspects to the teaching where I've created groups which have slowly formed friendships, and we just meet to carve, but gradually over years, these friendships and relationships have formed, and so there's an aspect of kind of building and creating community there too. It's nice to make a sort of tangible object, it's not like a song where you have to play it or record it. It's you make it and it's there, and it's a solid physical thing that someone can touch. And it's just an interesting world to be in, just moving this material around until you get it right. I think I got it from my dad. I remember on holidays he'd always be sculpting stuff in the sand, and something about the way he moved the sand around and would build stuff up. It was like he was sculpting, and that really rung with me. And then when I was younger, I would get frustrated and go into the garden and just sort of whittle bits of wood and make bows to shoot at people. And I think from there the interest sparked, and then when I got into blues music and sort of the whole culture of the early American South, there was always someone whittling on the porch, and I just saw that and thought, I bet I could do that, and started doing that and built up from there. I sort of think of it as sculpting when I'm just sort of paring wood off like a more sort of concave shape, whereas this is lots of stop cuts and release cuts. Yeah. This I'm just sort of generally sculpting the thing. I mean, one of the things I love the most is that I've made my creative thing into my job, and I think these days people don't think that's possible, or perhaps a lot of people don't, certainly creatives. There's not much encouragement, but I've been lucky, people have been very encouraging. I think it's very determined not to work in the usual sense. I really wanted to do something I love, which is bound to be something creative, and to somehow make a living from that. So I like showing that it's possible, but I would also argue that I'm kind of a product of a pretty healthy community, because people have supported me. People bring bits of wood round, they give me books. I've got a friend called Tim who's brought me loads of tools. There's always people giving me tips here and there, and they like what I'm doing, you know, and so they encourage it and support it. So I think if that community wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have lasted, and I wouldn't have believed it was possible to make a living off my craft. Inspiration, I think, yeah, I do like the abstract stuff, you know. Yeah, there's a guy called Leroy Setzol I really liked in America, and you know, even Barbara Hepworth, and yeah, the abstract stuff is really cool. I really like quite strange sort of like early medieval religious images and alchemical images. There's some really strange old paintings that are very inspiring because they're just so unusual and novel. I like anything I haven't seen before. But also a piece of wood itself can be the inspiration, because sometimes someone gives me a piece of wood, or I find one, or split a piece off a log, and there's just something about it. But also the main thing that inspires me is just seeing people do things that I can't do, which I'm impressed by, because then I think, well, you know, I'd like to try and do that too. Yeah, so it's always nice to move to the next challenge, learn something new. This piece is more like, again, it helps when there's some content already provided. So I was looking into proportion, like the Greeks and Egyptians are really into sort of, you know, measuring all these things out, you know, and getting the geometry just right. You know, it's like you take this piece of wood and it's not a blank piece of wood, it's already got all these alignments and hot spots, and you kind of, you know, where things line up. And so this is a root 5 rectangle, and you got a square in the middle, bring the V in here, and the arch, so there's a big circle going round it. And I just put in that structure and then just filled it in with my own contents. It was the first time I ever did something symmetrical, but it's wonderfully weird, you know. It's like this is supposed to be a jug pouring the waters of life forth, you know, so it's really about letting go and just, yeah, in a way surrendering just to a life force, you know, just to let it flow, not to hold things back. And then it's just got all this, like, you know, sort of ancient shell-like stuff on this kind of beach, the sea, the sun, this female figure reaching out to it. Up here, just some letter carving things, you know, stuff comes to mind. Smooth seas make bad sailors. Well, you know, I don't think anyone has an easy life, and it's nice to remember that, you know, what is it, you can't have an easy life and a strong character, like one is the cost of the other. So yeah, it's a nice reminder that when things are tough, it's also building you, you know, and you're increasing capacity and becoming a greater person. So to provide yourself with some meaning for the difficult periods, I think just helps take the edge off it, you know. And now, yeah, moving forward, I think I'd just like to try more, you know, like I said, wood carving is like a sort of destructive craft, you know. You work down from something and take away. So I'm kind of interested in the more constructive side, like joinery, so putting pieces together. I've not done as much of that. Yeah, making furniture, that might be cool in terms of the future. There's just so many possibilities, it's great.
Dark on an island of orange stone. You know share.